Hey you folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play SimCity, and welcome to Texas City. That's right, we got some great suggestions for names in the last video, and two people in a row, almost simultaneously as far as I can remember, suggested the same city name. It was based on, a few other suggestions that people were putting out, so, I don't know, great minds think alike, I guess. And, yeah, Texas City, the Lone Star City. Technically, Texas City is run by the Texas Corporation International Mega Corp Incorporated, whatever. It's going to be a big industry town. Well, industry and commerce. This is going to be a place dedicated to making money, 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 money. We will maybe have a few houses. Obviously, we'll have to make sure they're super high wealth, but most of our people will hopefully be coming from the arcology. So we're going to try to do that. We've got all our money in here, so let's go and talk serious business here. Most of this episode is probably going to be road layout, to be honest. Let's get rid of this. And the solar power plant as well. We don't need that. Boom. We're going to get rid of that completely. So, we do have some natural resources, but I'm not going to be playing with any of that. I have no interest in mucking about with the natural resource in this particular city. They take way too much room. We will put some industry down here. And actually, we may end up having some up on the ridge as well, if possible, but probably most of the commerce back here, which is going to be a little awkward. Well, it doesn't matter. I was going to say, because people are going to be driving in to do shopping, they're going to have to drive all the way into the city. But a lot of our people are actually just going to be workers, to be honest, and they're going to be going to the industrial sector anyway. Anyway, let's get rid of this road. Boom. 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 There it goes. Wow. And it also got rid of those really, kind of funky ridges that were going on over there, which makes me really happy. Most of our traffic is going to be coming from this road because that's the rest of our region, in particular the arcology. I expect that there's not going to be that much over here, except potentially for, trade vehicles. Not that, actually not that we're going to have trade vehicles, so I guess it's not really going to be a thing. Alright, so, we have tons of money, so obviously we're going to start with a high-density avenue right from the start. In fact, if I can manage to construct this as a giant single loop, then it's actually going to make it a really high candidate for upgrading to a streetcar avenue to service our whole town. So, we are going to make sure we don't have the straight connection here because I want to discourage people from all going the same place. So what we're going to do right off here, well, actually, I might go in a little bit further than this, just because there is the potential for a little bit of a traffic bottleneck here as it changes from the sort of highway street to the high-density avenue over here. So I want to make sure there's enough room for the vehicles to navigate. Although, they're going to be fine, probably. Now let's play it a little bit safe and just extend it ever so slightly. Good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a, sort of a T intersection here. It's going to be a three-way intersection. And I think I'm going to pull off an arc kind of like this. Actually, let's go straight to the edge over there. This may lead to a little bit of wasted space. Although, what I can do here is pull a road off there and use that as my transit depot. Let's make sure that that actually works properly. If we pull off a road... yeah, relatively straightish, actually. It's going to be totally fine. And let's go into our mass transit options. And everything should almost be unlocked. Almost everything should be unlocked in the game. So we're going to put that down there. And I like that quite a bit, actually. I think that's going to be good. So we're going to see how much traffic we can actually handle in our city. It's going to be a little weird without the residential. For all I know, I might give up on this whole no residential stuff and go back to a more conventional city layout at some point. But not yet. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to switch to a straightaway. Not that it really matters, because if we're connecting two like that, the arc will pretty much work well. And a couple of graphic glitches over here, but tell you what, as a 3D game programmer, this sort of stuff happens. It's really hard to avoid that crap. So I'm not gonna poop on these guys for that. Especially since I think they're doing some level of detail stuff in the distance to try to keep the game from crashing people's computers. It's mid-mapping or z-index or some damn thing that's causing this. All right, so all right, we've got that now. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go straight down here. Ooh, that leads to some interesting topology. In fact, we could do something like that, and then something like this. We've got so much money, we can afford to experiment a little bit. Okay, that's as far off as we can go that way. That's good. and then over here, right on the far edge. There we are. I think that'll be okay. Then we can put a nice curve in there. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't. I do these long curves because they look nice, I think. But really, we're wasting space. And what I should be doing is bring these kind of to an edge, and then. Ooh, road grade too steep. Let's try a little bit further off. That's just because of the hill here. Let me pull back that way. So actually we will need a fairly generous curve over here just to avoid going too far up the hill with our straightaway. There we are. But in these corners, I should trim this down a little. Let's do this. Switch to a straight. It's at a slight angle here, but that's okay. It's actually going to allow us to dodge the worst of the hill. So I'm going to hold shift to force it to follow the road straight. And then hopefully the terrain here hasn't messed up too much. There we are. They're not going to be straight roads, but, you know, that's okay. Here, you know, again, we're going to bulldoze this. It's the fun part of having so much money. What we really want to do is future-proof things, just because it is really hard to modify your road structure later on. In fact, should I have gone off like this? No, I'm still okay with that. I'm still all right with that. Mostly what I'm curious about is exactly how much room do I need for this double-decker depot, which is kind of fun to say. I guess I can slam it right in the corner over here. Actually, well, let's see something. I'm just experimenting. I'm just goofing around. Can I fit something in like that? Does that work at all? Now, I don't want it right on the road. That's very important. And not right on the avenue. So what I've got to do is lay out one of these. I like the way it looked better originally. I think if we pull back a little more like that, this will be fine. And we'll come off of this again. Really? There's not enough room. So what I had before, even though it looked kind of wasteful, is actually kind of sort of what is necessary here. Come on. All right. Here, I'll switch to a straightaway. Come off kind of like this. Finish the curve. There we are. Now hopefully there's no funny sort of double intersection along this path. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. I suppose now that I have the road and I know that it works. Actually, I guess I could lay out the road first. How much money have we wasted? Not that much. It's really, really surprising. Yeah, let me try something a little different here. Because I can take this, find the absolute corner over here, lay this out like that. Yeah, that might be the smarter way of doing it. Stick that in there. And then what we can do is run this one down a little further, then find a nice arc. Still a question of what are we going to do with this space here. That's why I'm hesitating. Well, actually. Oh gosh, we're bulldozing so many things. There we go. We'll do something like that. Bulldoze. Okay, however much that we're allowed to. Take this off with a nice little arc. I said nice little arc. Thank you. Like that, and that means we can actually stick some stuff over on this side here. And there's going to be lots of room for sort of buses to get in and out over this way. Now, this particular bus terminal isn't going to be serving much in a way of pedestrians, which is too bad because it can. But mostly I want, you know, any buses coming from outside of the city to be able to quickly get to the bus terminal and not clutter up my roads. And I think that is going to be a pretty big win like that. In fact, while we're thinking of this sort of thing, we're going to do... what are we going to do over here? Because I want to put a park and ride right next to the entrance of my city on the other side. And I'm trying to think of the best way to not have it interfere. Well, I guess I can actually just come off of here and then put the little park and ride, and I don't think it's going to kill traffic too badly. It does create an intersection, but it should be a relatively minor one. Now, I could actually use a low-density street here, actually, and that's really smart. Derp, that's what I should use. The actual connection here will be a low-density street. Alright, I guess I didn't need to destroy quite that much because I can get rid of that and go back to high-density street. And the advantage to doing that... Oh, I see, because it creates a double intersection. Yes, that makes sense. Hold on. Wish there was an undo button. There we are. Because, yeah, it creates... Oh, yeah, it creates the intersection here. So people can make this turn right away. Now, is this going to be a problem for buses that are trying to leave and turn left? Well, we're going to have to find out once the city starts, and we might go back and forth on what this is. So the advantage here is the avenue has no lights, no intersections. So the avenue traffic shouldn't be impeded at any point. But the buses coming from out of town can immediately turn right, but the buses leaving may not be able to make a left turn here without a traffic light. So we'll play that one by ear. We'll explore that in the future, in the mysterious future. In terms of setting up a park and ride over here, I guess we'll do the same thing with the low-density street. So people coming from out of town will turn left, so then can immediately turn right. Something like this. And these, you know, this is going to end up using up some space, so I'm not married to the idea of these things existing forever. But we'll see how it works out. Right? Okay. Everything else will be more or less considered for efficient space usage, although not absolutely. Some of it's going to be because it'll, you know, look cool or something. Can I... Oh, that's a problem. All right. Looks like we can't intersect where the ramp is. Now, hopefully that allows us enough room to fit in some sort of, well, I guess we can find out right away. Some sort of ferry terminal is what I was going to say. And yeah, we can fit it in right over here. And that should probably be okay. We will go ahead, we'll use the high density. It's probably fine. We'll put it a little further over here just in case there's, you know, some traffic hookups here. It'll give us enough space. And there we go. And this would be an excellent place for another park and ride. Although, I mean, people aren't driving off here, but you know what? It still feels like a decent use of space, so we'll put up with it. It acts as a bus stop that also accepts cars, so that way we'll have a few in a corner. In fact, it might be a good idea to have another park and ride sort of this general corner of the map and get as many people off their vehicles before they get on the avenue. All right, so that's pretty good. Now, I think we can also intersect our city with avenues. Maybe kind of have an avenue circle in the middle and then have interconnections that way. We really want to encourage people to stay on the outside of the city for as long as possible. But I think, if nothing else, the look of it will be kind of nice. So let's see what we can pull off. Oh, that's right. It doesn't start from the middle here. It starts from something like that. Might be good. In fact, this can be another streetcar loop. Now, these connections will not be able to be a streetcar loop. I guess we kind of want straight edges here, don't we? Well, at some point we're going to want some sort of structure off of these things. And my problem is my edges here are not square. I'm going to get rid of this loop, actually, for now. Because what I want to do is I want to start a nice square grid structure. Probably based on something like one central line. That would be everything on an angle. If I start building it, actually that's an idea. If I start building it here and then hold shift, it'll lock to like the cardinal directions. So I get a perfect north-south kind of road. Well, I don't know if it's north-south. I don't know what direction I'm facing in, but some sort of good bisection of my city this way. And then, let's go ahead and get rid of some of it here. And let's go and put that circle back in. Because it did look cool. We can grow it off this side and have it come something like this. I suppose I should turn the camera to look up, but yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect circle, but that's okay. Good. Now, over here, we're going to do the same thing where we get, again, I'm holding shift, so it forces it to be on a perfect east-west sort of grid. And then we just extend. Oh, actually, hold on. I did not hold shift when extending it, so I want to do that. Road, grab this, extend it, and you hold shift so it forces it to lock at angles. So now it's going directly straight out and should lock in here in the correct way. We've got a bit of a ramp and some hills there, which might be a little awkward. We'll see how that goes. And then the only problem is trying to get things to line up. Although, see, it's the start of a tunnel over here, so I don't think we're going to line up even on the best of times. So instead, oh well, we can. Okay. So again, I'll start the guide and then extend out of there. No. Although we can afford to break the pattern maybe and just go off a little. Oh. It's not perfectly square here. There's a hell of a hill, but I guess we'll just have to accept it. What do you mean roads overlap? Let me give me some more space here. What the hell? Okay, circles are messed up. No, it's not terrible. Well, no, I'm really not terribly happy. You know, I don't think we're going to do the big traffic circle. I'm getting rid of this. And this. And that. Here's what we're going to do instead. I'm going to lay down this road that goes east-west. Sort of here-ish. And hold shift the whole way. I went slightly further north here so that hopefully we can get a nice straight connection, and we can. And a nice straight connection, and we can. And what I want is just a smaller circle. Something more like that. There. Still got a bit of a funny offset angle, but now we know for a fact that all of our roads meet exactly at the center here, and it's actually a more, sort of a more perfect circle. So I'm happy with that. I think it'll serve the role nicely. Some people might shortcut through here, others won't. At some point, we're also going to have to talk about the traffic update from SimCity version 7, patch 7 that's going to come out, and how that's going to change things. But it's not out quite yet. Now, the other thing we could do to sort of add interesting characteristics to the town is we could, you know, kind of radially branch out this way. But I'm worried about having too many intersections on here, and I don't like that idea. And as always, there's the balance of making intersections versus trying to minimize how many U-turns people have to make. But we'll just play that by ear. So let's go and start putting out our high-density grid structure, which, if we do something, well, it's kind of interesting, actually. Oh yeah, it's messed up and off at an angle regardless here, so I think I would like to start off at a sharp angle regardless of kind of what ends up being here. It's just a question of where we want to start. You know, it is too bad that this is not square. Maybe I should have built it square, but there's something to be said about like some amount of organicness to the city to break that up. And in fact, you know, the fact that this is going to be an entire sort of grid structure. Actually, I don't have to go every one. I have to go every other one. Although that leads to a slight bit of wasted space, technically speaking. Well, here's one trick I can use. Let's go into the parks. Now, this sort of tree roll park. This happens to be the same length as one high-density building. Let's stick a couple of those in there. Now, I can also go into edit this, grab another one of these tree rolls, and add it to the back of this. So this would be enough space for me to stick in 2 high-density buildings back to back. So then what I can do, knowing that information, because it's not the same as the grid. See? It's a little further away because this, drawing a grid here, drawing a road here, gives us enough room to stick a road in between and have the 2 high-density buildings back to back. But that's not what I want. What I want to do I think that's a little, could be a little closer. What I want is something like this. Perfect placement for 2 high-density back-to-back buildings. And I have to think there's a series of traffic tutorials on YouTube that people keep sending me, and it's like, okay, I know most of the tricks. Just because I don't, you know, necessarily sit here min-maxing all my stuff all the time doesn't necessarily mean I don't know the tricks. But one trick that I did not know, and that I'm very happy that people that you know was included in that tutorial, is the trick with these long parks to be able to space things out. This is going to end up with a pretty boxy structure, which might not be good, and also there's going to be a lot of traffic sort of at this end. There is going to be a lot at this end, and is that what I want? Well, the alternative is, instead of doing it this way, we could, I've almost spent $1 million, is have another avenue like this, and then branch out there. So there's still going to be a lot of traffic sort of on this area, but then it's not going to be as much of a problem if I have my roads sort of connected that way. But I think that might be a little boring. I guess regardless of what I'm doing here, things are going to be kind of a little bit boring. Well, here's an idea. What if... I mean, what if we did round? Is that viable? And one of the other things, I suppose, if I do just go directly along this guideline here, there will be a little wasted space, but I can leave a row of trees in there, which would be awfully nice. You know, maybe we'll do this. And this is not the most efficient packing. Also note, if I were using arcs here, we're trying to use the circle tool, I would not be able to do these sort of circles properly. You have to use the curvy roads tool, but then once the guides are down, it'll follow the guides and actually give you much, much better curves than you would normally get. I actually don't want a connection that close, nor here, actually, now that I think about it. I'm going to get rid of some of that, for sure. And actually, it might be a good call to have an avenue. Come on, hold. Whoa, stop. Straight lines. Start drawing, hold shift to lock to 45 degrees. This should almost be an avenue. And I think if this were an avenue and these are just high density streets, it would actually fit in quite nicely. Let me try that. I think we can fit in all the highest density stuff just fine. Switch to the high density avenue and the curvy roads tool. Start in approximately the right place. And let's go into our parks and see if we can actually fit things like I'm thinking. And no, we cannot. There's clearly not enough room for back-to-back high densities. Why is this? Yeah, the spacing is completely different what it gives us. Whoa! Why did it do that? There. I think this will be fine. We'll see how it goes. We could actually, I could start with this one neighborhood and not work on the rest, and just start to see how it feels. Yeah. Now, I think in the very town center, I might do some residential, right? Like, mostly I'm going to avoid it, but let's have some people that live right in the middle of town here. You know, and it's always got this little bit that connects that feels kind of awkward, and I don't know if it should be there or not. I can't decide if it's good or if it's bad. I don't want anything on the avenue itself. You know what, I'll take it off just in case there, and then it looks better. I guess one of the things I can do, because I want commercial for the rest of it, now I just want to be able to shift select, or control, but I don't want anything on the inside here. So let me do a little bit of that. And again, we're going to go mostly commercial industrial. So we've got that. We might put some industrial over here because it blows, the wind sort of blows off this side of the map. And we certainly are going to want some industrial over here. I guess the other thing I can do while I'm here is build our train station. German high speed. We'll put it here. Like that. And then something like that. And let's zone that industrial. Something like that. We probably will want more industry, but I'm kind of curious to see how much just pure commercial we can get away with. All right, with that in mind, oh, we also need some power. So let's stick that somewhere. Really matters less. Although, again, if traffic coming in and out on the avenue, we want to avoid that. So maybe I'll create another, I'll create a symmetrical version of this over on this side. But we might not do the same thing over here, and certainly this is going to be a little bit different. Actually, this is going to be another great area for some industry. So let's go and grab this and the curly tool. All right, that's what I did, right? Yes. Try to pick approximately the right place. Although I think it'll mostly snap. Good. Come on, give me the farther away. What? Why would it only show me the one line? Was that how it was working before? Curious. Whoa! Stop. Straight line. Kind of like that. Alright, let's try this again. There we are. Whoa! Too much caffeine. Shaky hands. And I think, yeah, I will go ahead and connect that there. If it becomes a problem, we might get away with it later. Come on, draw some lines, thank you. And yes, one more up here, although this one will not connect, partially because it would connect in a really awkward place. But I'm trying to force more and more stuff into the center of town, and again, leave that external avenue as free of connections as possible. There we are. And the actual power plant, I think I'm going to stick in over here. Probably fine. We do have the high density solar plant, so we're definitely going to use solar in this particular place, and luckily we get, yeah, we've got the upgrade built in. It is a bit of a tight squeeze for space. That's a good point. Now, I guess the solar plant doesn't generate pollution, so we could really put it anywhere. Actually, let's do... You know what? That'll be okay. I know it says it's got the one place that won't be able to be built. That's alright, because you can actually grow them in a variety of different organic ways. We'll, what do we want to do with it? I think that'll be fine. The problem is I've only got 2 ticks here, and one, it's going to converge towards the avenue, and the other way it's going to converge close to the center. It's going to be a big question of how much power. Although I can build more power in other sub-cities and then just transfer power over here for now. So it's doing fine now, but what I'm going to do is bulldoze this one fixed array and go right for the concentrated one immediately. It'll be interesting to see how they all fit in. It's a lot smaller. There we are. Which actually is going to work out nice because we can fit a few more before it starts touching the avenue. So not only do the concentrated ones generate more power, but they're also much, much smaller. Way better overall, so really excited about that. Okay, I believe I am also set to purchase, there we go, buy that, buy water. Although long term we really are going to have to produce our own water, so I may as well place that stuff immediately. Actually, the problem is our only fresh water is over here, and it's going to be polluted as crap. Because, I mean, we might have some other water throughout our map here. Where's the icon? Water. Right, we've got this, but there's no guarantee that this is going to replenish itself, right? Not like the river itself. I think we're mostly going to be importing water and getting rid of sewage. Sorry, no sewage here. We will need our own trash heap, though. That's important, because you can't really just purchase and import trash the same way. How much space do we need for that? Trash, trash, trash. Recycling center would actually be kind of nice. We don't need a ton of space as long as we got enough incinerators going on. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put it there. And I will build an incinerator right away because otherwise I will forget. Boom. And hopefully that will be enough to service most things. Oh, right, we do have to build the... Actually, this is a good place to build those dump trucks. There, we'll add more later on. This will need a bus stop over here, that's right. Or ferry terminal. Almost want that parking ride, don't we? Because we didn't actually do that. You know what? I will go ahead and build the parking ride. Well, no, that's more important if you're near a house. So an actual just bus stop will be fine. I'll put it on the side of the road with the train station, which should be fine. And does that cover my area over here? It actually... Oh, I do have a park and ride there. That's right. So do I need this bus stop? It's very tricky to just delete that. I didn't actually look at the greenifying. No, okay, so park and ride there. I don't think it's necessary, but you know what? We've got the space. Let's use it. It's fine. I just realized I forgot to put a sign up. Of course we want our sign. Let's put it on that side. Can we do anything for the ferry? Yes. Boom. And we can add a cruise ship dock, but I don't think... Well, no, tourists for our commercial area. So no, we'll put in the cruise ship dock. Like so. May as well get it going. We've got the money, right? We may as well. Alright, so we got our structure here. So let's, kind of mirror what we've got going on over here as well. Let's stick in these little buildings over here. And minimal residential areas. And then more commercial. And we'll see how it goes. Assuming we get enough out-of-towners. Ooh, I should actually get rid of that. There we are. Assuming we get enough out-of-towners, our commerce should do great. And we can probably build our mayor's office in the center here, or I want a university as well. Actually, I think the structure over here will be quite different because we've got big blocky buildings to put down. This is where we'll do our university or services. This will be the sort of the civil sector of town. And I guess I could even just start laying that out just by continuing from something like this. Whoa. Why such a wonky angle? There we are. Something kind of like that. And you know what? Let's go ahead and put down the mayor's office, or the city town hall. That's the word I'm looking for. Words, I need words. Although it's kind of cute there. I don't know how it'll do for the amount of space, though. Can we really fit everything in? We might be okay. Is this bad to have on the avenue? Maybe. It is going to cause some traffic slowdowns, so... there we go. Let's do something like that. There'll be enough room for a building over here. Not that we need much in the way of buildings, simply because most of the town hall upgrades already exist somewhere else. But there we go. We named the city. Really? Can we name the city? I did not know that. Thank you, game. I really appreciate it. There's going to be a lot of students, so let's go ahead and get our university a rockin' here. And hopefully that's enough room to fit things on both sides. I should almost, like, do it more like over here and then just build things out towards the left here, and maybe that'll be a fine idea. Certainly, school bus stop we don't need, but a bus stop we will need over here. Actually, we will kind of need that all over, so let's give some thinkers to the structure we want. Maybe we'll do something like that. Or encourage the buses to just, like, turn right and they'll hit a stop right away as they come off of something. We'll have it close to the university. There. Within walking distance there. And then... there may be too many bus stops. We may want to reevaluate this, but again, for now, we're going to be okay. All right, let's unpause the game and see what kind of disaster we have wrought. I don't have the police yet. I don't have, which I might even build in the center. Like, I haven't decided what I want to do with the center yet. We could leave it as a pure green space because it's nice. But, you know, that would give them access. You'd be right in the middle of the city. It would be easiest to kind of reach everything. I don't think the traffic backups will be as bad, especially if I put the police station, sort of like, if I put it here, for example. that would be the furthest away from the backup potential of this intersection, right? So there's likely to be some free space here. So it might be okay. You know what? I'm going to put them down for now. Oh, we'll want the big ones. We don't have a safety thing in our region yet. Clearly, we're going to want to add that in. Anyway, we'll let people move in. We might add it to this region, or I might just leave. I might go somewhere else. There's plenty of places we can increase. City without power. Are we out of power already? It's not unlikely. No, it just hasn't kind of registered yet, and that's fine. We built all this stuff, and then we unpaused. So we spent about $1 million, just 1.1 million, building our city. Now, some of that was actually a fair portion of that was lost, just kind of bulldozing and replacing some of the roads. I mean, you know, it's still not great that it's not totally even, but I don't mind, especially here. I mean, I like these curves; they're nice. And this here, it's almost like, oh, it's so efficient that it's boring, you know. So this adds personality to the city, let's say. Now, some of these roads will require a lot of kind of U-turning, right? And you can already see the cars. They get to the end, then turn around. All these people that live these houses here, they turn right, go here, U-turn to the end, and then go the other way, depending on where they're going in the city. So we'll have to have a discussion about that at some point, which might mean, especially these are relatively long roads, we might build a, we might consider doing something like a high-density street from here to here. You know, that way it's a shorter U-turn. I mean, the fact that there are any U-turns whatsoever kind of sucks. And they may not need to U-turn on these. They do on the avenues because they have a median. But no, I guess not. I guess they can cross the road here. As long as they're not being blocked, they're going to be okay. It's alright, that's fine. Now, the university here, I don't know if the tech propagates to over here. We might actually need to rebuild the university closer to the industrial section of town. We're gonna play that by ear when we get there. And speaking of industry, I don't like the fact that I don't have that much, so I'm definitely going to want to impose a grid by holding Shift, and then connecting, and then hold Shift, and then connecting, and then let's zone some industry here, and here, and here, and here. It's a little close to where some people live, so there might be a little bit of crankiness. But hopefully these things will become high tech. What do you want? We are buying city from a neighboring city. Do I toggle that to complete that? I don't, like, completing these quests don't really matter. Alright, let's stop. Stop. 1, 2, 3. Buy. Buy. Push comes to shove, I can just get rid of that notification if I want. Oh, the arcology. It's whining about that. Can we turn on and off whether we supply power to the arcology? No. It just wants the extra regional power. That's okay. No, we'll definitely work on completing that. We'll get some more power going. We've got money. Let's go ahead and increase our solar output. Of course, we're going to put a little sign there. Wow, we can fit a lot. Let's go for one more. And then we'll revisit things later on. Oh, that's collectively supply. That's the entire region. And it should actually process, but if need be, we'll keep building up our solar farm and do what we can. So we've got our double-decker buses going all throughout the city, which is lovely and wonderful. Lots of pedestrians over here, which is kind of surprising. Like, where are they coming from and going to? There's nothing within walking distance, which is weird. Bus is full. We might build some more buses, but I'm not going to rush into it. So far, traffic is fine, but of course our population is relatively low, only 208 people in the entire city. Now, these guys should have plenty of jobs to work, maybe not as much industry as is needed. We're going to hopefully really encourage high-tech industry. Now, these guys, well, they should have enough workers coming from out of town. And also, no, the tech level is going up, which is great. That's what I'm hoping for. And there's plenty of places for them to ship their freight. Assuming we don't have any traffic problems, these should easily bump up to high-density industry extraordinarily quickly. And hopefully they will be high-tech, high-industry buildings. Workers needed, but that's okay. That's going to come by itself. Anyway, I think this is a good place to cut the episode. When we come back, we're going to continue to let our city grow and see how it goes. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.